Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this edition of the Payoff Pitch on this July 26th. It is a Wednesday, and here we have a great show. Patrick, say hi.
Hi.
All right. Well, unfortunately, it looks like this will be your last show on the Payoff Pitch for quite a while, Patrick.
It is unfortunate, Joey. I've had a lot of fun doing this, but we're getting close to the school year coming up, and there's a lot of things that I have to do being the teacher at Clark, and I want to be able to have time a couple of weeks before that to kind of focus on that. And this has been a great opportunity. I probably still could come in here, but I want to give you an opportunity to grow the Joey brand a little bit on the radio.
Oh, the Joey brand.
The Joey Olberding brand.
Whatever you call that brand, I'm fine with it.
It's gonna be the Joey show next week, so we're gonna be interested in seeing how well you run it solo.
Hopefully, I'm not terrible.
You won't be terrible. Are you kidding me? You're good on this show. You're just gonna take it to a next level. I know that.
Oh, okay. Well, if you say so.
You gotta say so. Tell me, Joey. Tell me you're gonna do it well.
I'm gonna do it well.
Oh boy, there's a positive spirit.
I'm gonna show all of you. I'm gonna do great. Yeah.
Go. That's what we need.
All right, but now let's just get right into the sports. And something I want to talk about is, shockingly, the MLB. I never talk about baseball ever.
Never.
No, never.
Is that even a sport for you anymore? Do you think that's categorized as a sport?
I
I'm just
don't
kidding.
even know why we're talking about it, honestly. But anyways, usually on this show when I talk about baseball, I talk about the Reds. That's just something I normally do. But this time, I want to focus on other teams that are actually doing well this year.
Okay.
Other teams that have showed people what they're made of in this 2017 season. And on this 26th of July, on this Wednesday, it's been about 2 weeks since the All-Star break in Miami, the Home Run Derby, the All-Star Game, and all that. And you can see that the standings in these divisions and these leagues are getting more easy to figure out. Maybe some not as much. The NL Central has gotten a bit more closer.
Okay.
But some divisions have just gotten blown out of the water, with one team obviously going to take the division. And in
Which teams are that? Which teams are we talking about right now?
Well, I would like to point out the Houston Astros, the Los Angeles Dodgers, and the Washington Nationals. Those are the big ones. Those are the ones that are really doing stuff.
Well, the Dodgers have won 70 games already.
Yes, 70 games. And you have to remember, we just came out of the All-Star break. Like, that's pretty crazy. We've played about...
Do you think the Reds are going to win 70 games this season?
That's
Let's be honest, right? We're at what,
lucky.
41 right now? We're 41 and 59? 41, 59?
Something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, anyways, so I wanted to, in this edition of the Payoff Pitch, to do a very early World Series predictions, or playoff predictions, whatever you want to do. So,
Okay.
tell me, Patrick, out of all the teams in the MLB, who do you think is going to reign supreme in this 2017 year?
Out of the American League, it's kind of a toss-up for me right now. You mentioned the Houston Astros, and I like the balance of their team. They hit home runs, they hit for average, they have pitching, they have bullpen. There's a couple pieces, quite honestly, just like the Dodgers. If I had to pick today, I'm going Astros and I'm going Dodgers, just because there is very little chinks in their armor.
Yeah.
Right? Because their team is full, they're balanced, they're starting pitching. I mean, the Dodgers, how can you go against it's Wood and Kershaw right now, right?
Exactly.
How can you go against the pitching and hitting of the Houston Astros right now? But there could be somebody that comes up that we don't know about. I mean, it's not out of the question that you can see a Kansas City Royals team getting on a streak and winning 5 or
That's
6 in
true.
a row, and then they're right in it with Cleveland, and they're right behind Cleveland in that division as well, in the Central American League division. The Yankees. I mean, Aaron Judge is in a slump right now after the All-Star break, after hitting well in the Home Run Derby and winning that. I mean, I think that's happened. That happens all the time. That happened to Todd Frazier. I mean, I think that's a curse.
Yeah.
Like, Stanton's happened. I mean, Stanton's on a roll, though, right now. I mean, he got out in, what was it, the first or second round of the Home Run Derby, but he's raking. All that exhaustion that he didn't do from the home run derby is not affecting him.
I mean, what's more important, winning a home run derby or being a dominant player for your team? And something I want to mention that you touched on, Patrick, is the American League wild card. The American League wild card is a total toss-up. I mean, you can't really be sure of who's going to win. In the
Right.
NL, it's a bit easier because 3 teams in the NL West are doing terrific. That would be the Dodgers, the Arizona Diamondbacks, and the Colorado Rockies.
Right.
Though the Cubs can also be there because the Cubs and the Brewers are kind of in a deadlock for that first place in the NL Central right now. But other than that, it's pretty simple in the NL, but not simple at all in the AL because all these teams are competing in the AL West, in the AL Central, and the AL East, especially the AL East. Every team there's good.
Yeah.
Every single one. I believe the Red Sox are leading the division. The
They are.
Yankees are second. The Orioles are third. The Rays are fourth, and the Blue Jays are fifth. They're the one AL East team who's been doing badly this year. But I have to agree with you with the World Series predictions, Patrick.
Okay.
I think that the Dodgers will face the Astros in the World Series. And the only reason for the NL that I'm not picking the Nationals is that the Nationals have a bit more injury problems than the
Right.
Dodgers. And I hate to say that because they're both really, really good teams. And they both have youth but also have a veteran presence. You've seen a lot of players for the Nationals do really well this year. Ryan Zimmerman has really had an amazing year after a while. And Max Scherzer, of course, being the best pitcher in the NL.
Yeah, starter of the All-Star game.
Yeah, and you just have to look at that, and it's tough to argue against them, but they have a bit more of injury issues.
Yeah, and I think that comes down to, though, the injury issues are going to come down to the World Series. I don't think if they're going to get in the playoffs. I don't think that's something that's going to be criticized right now. That I think everybody thinks the Nationals are going to make it because they have an 11.5 game lead over the Braves, who are in second place right there, and the LA Dodgers have a 12.5 game lead over the Diamondbacks. So I think both of those teams are going to get in the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
And in recent years, you touched on this a little bit, the NL Central with the dominance of the Cardinals. Remember that over the past decade?
Yeah.
The Chicago Cubs just recently have come on. The Pittsburgh Pirates have been good, right?
Yeah, the Pirates have always been just a good team. They haven't won a division title, but they've always been there.
Been right there, exactly. So over the past 5 or so years, we've become accustomed to the wild card team coming out of the NL Central.
Yeah.
But this year, there's no way it's going to happen. You mentioned the Colorado Rockies, who are currently in third place in the West. They've won 58 games. The Milwaukee Brewers, who are in first place, have won 54 games.
Yeah.
So the third place team in the West have won 4 more games than the top team in the Central.
And they play in the same division as the Dodgers and the Diamondbacks. Sure, you have the Padres and the Giants in that division, who have both not had good years, especially the Giants having the worst record in the league.
Which is surprising, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at their roster, it's pretty good.
It's a heck of a good roster.
It has a lot of veterans and not many young players, but that's not always a bad thing. You look at the Yankees all the time; they always have old players. They're always stacked up with them.
Yeah, but they do a good job. The Yankees organization does a good job of putting young players into place. They do a lot of great things in their farm system and getting young players in trades and things like that. And
That's true.
I think they do a good job. But San Francisco, honestly, I thought was the same way, and I think they have the worst record in baseball. One of the worst. If it's not the Phillies,
so.
It's them. One of the two.
Yeah, one of the two. But you look at their roster, it's really not that bad. They have a lot of guys. They have Denard Span. They still have Buster Posey. They still have Madison Bumgarner. Unfortunately, he got injured because of a motorbike accident.
Yeah, that's a shame, too. And we just heard today that Johnny Cueto and Justin Marger are on the open market for trades for them.
Yeah, and Johnny Cueto, he's been kind of shopped around over the past few years.
Wouldn't it be nice to get him back?
But we won't.
But don't you think that would be a great addition to the Reds roster?
It would, but we're just not going to get him.
Why don't you think so?
Because
Is he old? Is he too old?
I believe that he's 30 or 31. That's not necessarily a bad thing. I believe Scott Feldman's 34. Still, Johnny Cueto, if the Reds are going to be a youth team that's going to come up in the next few years and really be good, then Johnny Cueto, we just have to trade away too many young guys for him. And I think in the end, it just wouldn't be worth it.
See, I don't know. I'm not a GM or anything in baseball, but if I had to look at this trade for Cueto, we gave away Cueto and got a lot back. That was at the height of, I believe, his career, the climax of his career. And granted, he got a no-hitter, if I'm right. He did get a no-hitter, didn't he? Just recently?
No.
He didn't do that?
Nope.
Who was that? That might have been Edison Volquez I'm thinking of.
Yeah, it was Volquez.
Yeah, I knew it was one of those two. I couldn't remember which one. So he's still, Cueto, no-hitter or not, he's still decreasing his value as a player, as a pitcher.
And that's
correct?
And that's unfortunate because he's still a very good pitcher.
He is, but I think right now, if you look at the Reds pitching staff, if we get Cueto, let's say we give up a person like Adam Duvall and another minor leaguer or something, and some cash and another cash considerations or whatever, right? I think that's a good trade for the Reds because we get a starter right now. Right now, he's a number one for us.
Definitely.
Like, you put him on our roster, he's the number one pitcher that's going to be starting.
So,
and don't get me wrong, like, I don't necessarily know if that's quote-unquote rebuilding the way we want to do it.
The thing is, I think you have to remember that we have a lot of pitchers on the DL. Like, I know that there are no Johnny Cuetos, but that doesn't mean they don't have the potential. Unfortunately, our best pitcher, Anthony DeSclafani, has been on the DL for a while now.
Yeah.
And he's going to return towards the end of the season, I believe.
And Cueto's pretty consistent.
Yeah,
he's not been. He had. I can't remember Cueto's tenure here in Cincinnati, but I think he had a time where he was on the DL. But after that, he came back, had this little like turn to his rotation that he developed, and since then he's been kind of injury free. If I'm right, does that sound correct?
I don't think so, honestly. But
okay. Well, maybe it was something minor, this and that everybody has. But for the most part, he hasn't put a long stint on the DL like Homer Bailey has for the past 3 years, it seems like. But still, I think getting somebody like Cueto, like even, I don't want to compare to the Scott Rowland piece because Scott Rowland was, I think, more in his prime than Cueto is right now as a position player. But having that leadership in that clubhouse would be extremely helpful for those young guys, quote unquote young guys in our rotation, to help them like develop more as pitchers. What do you think?
Well, there's a clear difference between a Scott Rowland type player and a Johnny Cueto type player.
Without a doubt.
Scott Rowland is a total leader. He was a leader from when he started off. He's a Hall of Famer without a doubt, and he's a leader, and he's a big reason why the 2012 Reds faced the Giants and were up 3-0 until the Giants came back.
But don't you think that Cueto has learned those leadership skills over the past few years? Players, they digress and they progress, right? I think he's more progressed than he has digressed when it comes to leadership skills, right? His player attributes have digressed a little bit, which makes him a better value for the Reds right now because they don't have to give up a whole lot to get him, but can use his leadership skills moving forward in that clubhouse dynamic.
Well, while it's true that he's definitely developed more leadery skills, I guess. I don't know how to put that.
Okay.
But you have to remember, he was traded to the Royals to be a guy who really was just there for the postseason, and he propelled the Royals to, I believe they lost the World Series that year. Yeah, they did, but they still went very far into the World Series. Mm-hmm. And then he went to the Giants, and he is the number 2 guy for the Giants, Madison Bumgarner always being the number 1. So what does that say about the guy when the best experience he had, the best leader role he had was being the ace for a team, and then expected to go back there and be way more of a leader?
Mm-hmm. You know what? I kind of agree with your point a little bit, but let's try to transition to something else. Let's try to
let's just transition to the NBA. We've talked enough about baseball. I feel like we should talk about the NBA because although we talk about the NBA fairly often on this show, there's always something new happening, and and I feel the need that we always have to talk about it because it's big enough so that we should. And in this one, it's a pretty big deal for fans of the Cavaliers. And now, if you haven't heard about this yet, I'm happy to enlighten you. Kyrie Irving, who's been a Cavalier all his life, well, all his playing career, has requested a trade. He wants to be the leader of a team. He wants to be the face of a team instead of playing for LeBron, where LeBron is obviously the face of the Cavaliers.
Sure.
And many people can see why Kyrie wants to do that. After all, he gets a bigger image for himself, and he has people focus more on him instead of LeBron, like it was when LeBron was in Miami.
So Kyrie is demanding a trade.
Yes,
is
he's
what's
demanding
happening.
a trade.
And he's not happy because he feels like he's been playing the number 2 role too often, and he can feel like he could be a Russell Westbrook type of guy. When Durant leaves, he could be the MVP of the league.
Yeah, Kyrie really thinks that he can be one of the best players in the league. Like, he can be as good as LeBron if he's given the chance, and I can't help but agree. If you've seen what Kyrie did back when LeBron and Kevin Love weren't in Cleveland and he was really the only piece there, you can see that he did really well, even though the Cavaliers didn't do well at all those years. You can see that he really tried his best, and you can see he was a very dominant player, and he still is now with LeBron James, but you see he's more of an assist guy, and LeBron's getting all the buckets, and you can see that with Kevin Love too. I've discussed that before. So I can see why Kyrie Irving would want to trade, but where would he go? Many people are asking. A lot of people say that he should go to the Knicks.
Well, that's because it's where he's from. You know, the hometown type of thing. I don't think he wants to go to the Spurs. His top choice was, from reports and all these experts coming out, the Spurs, and who blames them, is a great destination for him. But if he goes to the Spurs, I mean, I don't even know if players think through this stuff. He's like, oh, the current roster on the Spurs, you got Kawhi Leonard, Pau Gasol, and Tony Parker, right?
Yeah.
Those people are not going to be there if you are there.
Yeah,
they're going to have to get rid of somebody, right?
That's true.
They're not going to play. You're not going to play with Kawhi Leonard.
And
the Cavaliers are saying, hey, if you want Kyrie, you're going to have to give me Kawhi.
And
that's not going to happen.
The thing is, if he wants to be a face of a team, he shouldn't go to the Spurs because Kawhi Leonard's still going to be the face of the Spurs because he's been there.
Heck, even Tony Parker could be the face of the Spurs.
That's true.
Anybody could be. I mean, I think more people in San Antonio have a tenure there and more respect than Kyrie's. He's going to come in and just be a role player there. But he wants to win, obviously, so that's why he's picking the Spurs.
Think about it. Back in 2015, LaMarcus Aldridge went from the Trailblazers to the Spurs, and at that time, he was arguably a better player than Kawhi Leonard. But did people immediately think of him as the face of the Spurs? No, they still thought of Kawhi Leonard as the face of the Spurs, or Tim Duncan, because he played back then.
Yeah, and I think a lot has to do with his contributions on the court.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, LaMarcus Aldridge, when he came over, wasn't exactly the LaMarcus Aldridge from the Blazers. It took him a little bit to, especially in the playoffs this past season, surged a little bit and saw that 20-point game per game and those 10 rebounds per game in those playoffs. So there is no way I think Kyrie is going to get traded this season. No way. This is so egotistical to me, and it bothers me a little bit, Joey, because I see his point and Kyrie's point in saying that I don't know if I'm going to be here in 2 years because LeBron's not going to be here in 2 years. I got my contract for another 2 years after 2018-19, but my game has increased exponentially. He's had the best year last year in points per game, in free throw percentage, and three-point percentage. All of these things are at his all-time high since he came in the league in 2011. Okay, so in his mind, he's progressed to the top echelon of players. He's thinking he could be this for the next 5 years and contribute and make himself the face of a franchise, right?
And I feel like the team to do that with really is the Knicks. I mean, it's a simple trade. You trade Kyrie for Melo. That's something.
That's not going to happen. There's no way. If you're a Knicks GM, you want that to happen? Carmelo Anthony is just as good as Kyrie is what you're saying.
No.
Then why would you do that?
Because you get Kyrie Irving. Simple. Kyrie Irving is a young player. He's getting better and better with each year. Carmelo is on constant decline, and the Cavaliers want him.
Okay, so from the Cavaliers' perspective, you would do it then.
Yeah, from the Cavaliers' perspective, they want to win now. They want to win now, and Carmelo is in his prime.
No,
And-
he's not.
I mean,
he's way
in
gone.
He's in his prime at his point, and he's not gonna increase. He's gonna go downhill, and if they get him for 1 year, then they can.
No way. No way. If I'm a Cavs GM, there's no way I'm making that deal. Kyrie is worth 3 Carmelo Anthonys.
You think so?
Oh yeah. And don't get me wrong, both are terrible defenders. I mean, there's always that. But if you're talking about slashing through the lane, creating assists, especially for LeBron, Carmelo's going to do a third of that. You know, I think Carmelo is a straight up pure shooter. Don't get me wrong. Like, he can give you the LeBron drive and kick out just like Love can. But I think even Love is a better player than Carmelo because Love can create. Love can rebound. And what is I think Carmelo is such an overrated player because all he really does is shoot. And he's a great shooter. Don't get me wrong. But so is Kyle Korver, okay? And you're telling me you're going to give Kyle Korver and Kyrie Irving in the same breath? No way. No way.
Well, I agree with you to an extent, Patrick. I do think that Carmelo is very much worse than Kyrie Irving. But still, if Kyrie Irving's going to request a trade, that means that he's going to play half-heartedly. That means that he doesn't want to perform for the Cavaliers. That he really just... Think about it. Why would you say that and go out and perform your best? That's just proving that you shouldn't be traded. If you put in a half-hearted effort...
No.
Nope, you don't. You don't agree with that.
No, I think if you go out and let's say the Cavs keep him this year, he's going to perform at half his best to what, pout and say that he's not going to be on this team. He feels like I'm not going to win a championship because I was going to be traded. He's a professional athlete. There's no way that's going to happen. These professionals are a lot more dedicated to their craft than maybe you think. They go in and out, and not just from the preparation perspective, but from the next year's, the future's perspective. They're going to want to put their best numbers up there because if they keep him this year and he does poorly, his trade value goes down, and he might not even get what the Cavaliers want from him. And they're saying, well, we have complete dominance over you now, not that we have before, because they do have control over him now, because it's not like he can say, oh, I don't want to go here. I have a no trade clause in his contract.
So you're saying that it's better if he does perform his best.
Exactly.
But
because then he increases his trade value.
All right, but you keep on saying that he won't get traded. So what's the point of doing that then? You want him to perform his best to win a championship and just forget about getting traded, forget about that comment?
No, they're all playing for a championship, correct?
That's true.
So if you go into this season and you just half-hearted the entire season, and let's say you barely get in the playoffs, I mean, they're not. The Cavaliers are the second best team according to standings last year in the East.
Yeah.
Behind the Celtics, right?
Of course.
And they kind of demolished them in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But you're telling me you're going to give up a chance to win an NBA championship for that? I mean, I've seen some pretty big egos before, like T.O. in the NFL.
Yeah.
There's no way that if T.O. even had the opportunity to say, I'm going to give up a championship just because I'm going to be petty, there's no way. They're too much of a professional. They get paid a lot of money to do this. They're going to get sat. And heck, there's a lot of different things that we're not going to get into right now where they can prevent him from doing that, from playing his best. It's like, if you're going to be like this, if you're going to be a child, we're going to sit you down, and then you're not going to play at all, and then we might just release you, and then you're going to be screwed. So they have complete control over Kyrie right now.
Well, you say that like releasing is going to be completely a bad thing for Kyrie because Kyrie is still an elite player no matter if he plays or not. Because people are still going to want to sign him because of what he's done in the past. And that means all these teams putting all their money out to get him. And you know what that means? He's going to be the superstar of the team. He's going to be the face of a franchise.
No, I'm not buying it. I'm not getting on that bet. I just don't know why. Like, honestly, I can see where Kyrie's coming from at the beginning of this thing. But if you're one of the best teams in the world and you're one of the best players in the world, and just because you're number 2 to LeBron James that's why you want to get out there and you're uncomfortable with that situation, like swallow some of your pride, man. Doesn't that bother you a little bit? Like if you're a fan of the Cavaliers, doesn't that bother you? Like, isn't there a reason why his jersey number is number 2? I mean, it feels like it's appropriate right now because he's being a child. Like, dude, just own it.
I feel like that Kyrie, honestly, is while I like his game and I feel like he could be the face of the franchise for some team out there, I feel like he's trying to force it. He's trying to force himself to really be that elite player for some team to drive them to championships like LeBron did. I think that he's just trying to do too much. If he's yelling at the Cavs pretty much for a trade, then you bring up a good point. It's not going to happen. The Cavs aren't even going to play him. Even if that costs the Cavs.
They're going to play him. They're going to play him. If they don't trade him, he's going to be a starter for 70-something games. Like, that's just going to be honest. If he doesn't, he's going to get injured, and that's the only reason he's not going to play.
All right.
And I can guarantee you, if he plays, he's going to play 100%. He's not going to go half-heart this entire season just because of that.
Okay. Well, I think we should transition now to golf.
You want to talk about golf?
Yeah.
Look at you.
Well, let's talk about the British Open because that happened.
It did.
Just a few days ago here on July 26th, on this Wednesday.
It is Wednesday, July 26th. So this past weekend, the Open did happen over there, the European Championship.
And Jordan Spieth won, and he had a miraculous comeback. If you watch the Open, then you can see through some of his final holes that he was really struggling. He was hitting balls into the crowd, and it looked like that he would just keep on going downhill, but then he gets a birdie, and then an eagle, and then another eagle, and all of a sudden, he wins.
Yeah.
And it's really pretty crazy because Jordan Spieth is still like 25, Patrick. He's still pretty young.
Oh, yeah, I think he's even younger than that. He might be 23, 24.
Wow.
I think he's 24.
Yeah, and
So Jordan Spieth was leading the entire Open from the first couple rounds.
yeah.
And so because he came back and won, so in the third round he was winning. And that first part, that front 9 of his final round, he didn't hit the ball well, like you said, went and actually I think played a hole for like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And on like average, you should be playing a hole probably like 10 minutes as a professional.
Yeah.
Because I mean, granted you're walking it, but you come up, you see your ball, you know how it's being lied, and you just strike it, right? You know what you're doing. You got your swing down.
Yeah.
Like someone like me, if I'm going up and playing a ball, I'm thinking like, there's a tree in front of me, so I got to lay up to the left. Like, I'm not even going to hit this ball correctly on the point because I'm a terrible golfer. So I'm going to like, going through all these things. And granted, they play quick, right? So having a hole played for like 30 minutes is quite a detriment to a professional golfer, especially the best in the world. And he was behind, so I believe he was leading, and I don't know exactly what the numbers are, but let's say he was leading coming into his final round by 3 strokes. Over that front 9, he was 1 or 2 now behind the first player. So I think that was Matt Kuchar. Kuchar was now in the lead after the front 9.
And he had been playing pretty consistently.
Kuchar was going stroke for stroke with Spieth the entire time. And I just loved watching those 2 Americans going after it because they're both competitive and they're both charismatic. If you watched them online, it was awesome. On TV, online, wherever you kind of watch it by hole, it's so much fun seeing their facial expressions. I think that's more entertaining because they're so charismatic. They're so nice to each other, right? And they kind of
just golf.
Exactly, and they love it. They love it, and they love it because they're doing really well. I mean, you're doing anything well, that you're gonna love it, right? I mean, you're doing the radio show well, you're gonna put a smile on your face, and whatever. But it's just so much fun watching these guys go back and forth and trading shots, and throughout the entire weekend, through Thursday through Sunday, it was awesome to watch these guys. And Jordan Spieth almost screwed it up, and like he did in the Masters, almost. But he came back and he won it, and he went wire to wire from beginning to end, being leading and then finishing. And I just, man, Jordan Spieth. The people call him the Golden Boy and the next coming of the golfer, the Tiger Woods type of thing. But he's 24 years old. He's got a lot of golf in front of him. And if he stays consistent, I mean, you watch his shot. It's so, so beautiful.
Yeah.
And he's worked so hard on it. And his putting game was on point. On point.
Really, it's just impressive. I mean, looking at a golfer like that, you see him be behind and then come back and just hit all his shots like right on point. Terrific putts to put it in, and then he eventually wins. And you're like, wait, wasn't he down just a few minutes ago?
Yeah.
That's the beauty of golf. You never know what can happen.
And well, the thing about golf is that it's so hard. It's
Yeah.
ridiculously hard.
Oh, yeah.
As someone who's a novice at golf, a beginner really, that I went out and there's times when I can shoot 130 over 18 holes, and that's terrible.
Oh, yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a handicap of like 50, right? But then there's times when, as a beginner, I can go and shoot under 100, which is 30 strokes different. Even more than that. Like sometimes I'll shoot like a 90, and I'm thinking like, I'm a beginner right now. Like, what's going on? So the game of golf is so variable. You can go out there and shoot really well, as Spieth did for the majority of the tournament, and then you can see that 9 holes that no great golfer's immune to having bad rounds, right?
Yeah.
Because it's so easy. It's so easy to have, that span of whatever, that 18 holes, that 9 holes, or those 36 holes, wherever you play, terribly. Because it's so hard to strike the ball well, because you get different lies, you have different courses, different lengths. Your game is different, the way you hit it, how far you hit it, that type of thing.
Just really complicated.
It is. It's really in-depth the way. It's not just going out there and be like, I see the ball being pitched and I hit ball far. It's not that. It's not as simple as trying to hit a baseball that way, right? And I'm sure baseball players are like listening to this. They're like, "Come on, man! There's curve balls, there's knuckle balls, there's things that happen. I mean, there's tendencies you want to see the tip pitch and the way the catchers line up. And
Yeah,
I mean, I get all that, right?
But that's the most basic strategy. Hit the
Yeah.
ball, see the ball, catch the ball,
Right.
whatever.
And most people, like you see, like a soccer, right? You don't see a whole lot of like youngsters getting into golf, even though you do see it. Don't get me wrong, you
Yeah,
do, without a doubt. But majority of people, they're going into football, they're going baseball, they're going to their soccer as a youth, those types of things that have majority of the leagues that are more popular, quote unquote, and have more opportunities for the kids to get involved with, because they are simpler games to a certain aspect.
Okay, well, hey, Patrick. I'm just saying, it was a pleasure to have you on the show for about a month or two, and I have to say, it was really fun working with you. This has been great, and I don't think I'll ever find a partner quite as special as you.
I appreciate it. It's touching words, Joey. And throughout the school year, if this keeps happening, and I hope it does to some aspect, whether it's every week or every other week or every month or something like that, hopefully you have the graciousness to invite me back.
Oh, we'll see.
I know you're going to be a superstar coming by yourself next week.
All right. But hey, with that, I think that'll do it for this episode of the Payoff Pitch. And I hope you enjoyed. And make sure to check us out on TuneIn Radio and subscribe to us on YouTube at Clark Montessori. Look it up in the search bar. Yeah. And follow us on Twitter at SoCo Club. And from me, Joey Olberding, and Patrick Lewis for his final time. We will see you next time. So stay tuned to 95.7 MRC for more Payoff Pitch and so many other things.